Grandma Bell have today. There's one in Arizona.
Coming up next, 10 years after the Sandusky scandal and Joe Paterno's firing, our exclusive interview with key figures in the story.
This is a man who his entire life, his own kids were around Jerry Sandusky, so obviously he didn't know who he what he was.
Plus, a new turn in Pennsylvania's battle over mask mandates in schools.
And remembering a local veteran whose two Purple Hearts vanished. The Center County Report starts now. Good afternoon, I'm Chris Lemo.
And I'm Lexi Lideline. Thanks for joining us for the Center County Report. We begin with breaking news. A Penn State student has been found dead in State College. Police say the 19-year-old was reported missing last night. Her body was found today. Police say preliminary information shows her death to be accidental. We'll have more information as it comes in.
10 years ago this week, Penn State was preparing to play its first football game without Joe Paterno in more than 60 years. The legendary coach was fired as the Sandusky sex scandal broke. Reporter Preston Shoemaker has done a series of one-on-one exclusive interviews with key people from that time as they reflect on the scandal and its effects.
Joe Paterno is no longer the head football coach, effective immediately.
10 years have passed since the Jerry Sandusky sex abuse scandal dominated news headlines, turning Happy Valley into a center for hundreds of journalists from across the country. The former Penn State defensive coordinator was found to have sexually abused children for over a span of at least 15 years. He was arrested and would be sentenced to 30 to 60 years in prison, convicted on 45 charges of child sex abuse. The aftermath of the charges led to the firing of long-tenured football coach Joe Paterno, as well as others who had reportedly failed to inform police of what they knew. The Paterno firing led to student-driven riots throughout the town, adding to the chaos. Jay Paterno, Joe's son, remains an active member of the Penn State University community. He feels that despite the seriousness of the charges and the damage left behind, his father's reputation has been wrongfully tarnished over the years.
This is a man who his entire life, his own kids were around Jerry Sandusky, so obviously he didn't know who he what he was. People have vilified a man who had 61 years of integrity, and unfortunately, they're canceling the wrong guy on this one.
Former Penn State President Graham Spanier resigned the same day that Paterno was fired. He has argued his innocence to this day, but served a 58-day jail sentence this year for a single count of child endangerment. Spanier, among others, believes that the way the media told the story was not entirely objective.
The media followed rumors. They didn't double check to find out if what they were reporting was accurate. That allowed a lot of people throughout the nation to come to conclusions that weren't justified. And that's very unfortunate.
Former Pennsylvania Attorney General Tom Corbett began the prosecution of Sandusky's case in 2009. He handed off the case to Linda Kelly after being elected governor in 2011. His governor role gave him a spot on the Penn State Board of Trustees. Corbett says he knew the case was coming, but was not able to tell Penn State officials what he knew due to being sworn to the court. Despite this, Corbett has no regrets on the way the case played out.
I know I did what was necessary. With Penn State, I know I did what was necessary. This was a tragic human story, but it all starts with one individual, Jerry Sandusky, and a number of young children who did nothing wrong.
Corbett believes the Sandusky case was one of the reasons he lost his re-election bid in 2014 to Tom Wolf. He says that some Penn Staters were not happy with his work.
It didn't help re-election. I didn't get re-elected, and I didn't win Center County. I've only had one person come up to me from Penn State. He's got a jacket on, he's got the Penn State logo on it. I went, oh, here it comes. And he goes, "You're Governor Corbett, aren't you?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "We got you."
Strong feelings still exist to this day about how the events played out following the revelation of Sandusky's actions and the administration's response. One thing that both Spanier and Paterno agreed on was that they are still loyal to the university.
Penn State didn't do anything to my dad. The people in positions of authority at that time got it wrong.
We want to continue to be supportive. We love the university. So you can take us out of the university, but you can't take the university out of us.
Reporting in University Park, I'm Preston Shoemaker for the Center County Report.
The university has paid at least $113 million to more than 30 people who say Sandusky abused them.
For people in the State College area, this 10-year anniversary brings back memories of a tough time when Penn State was in the national spotlight for the wrong reasons. Kelly Warner talked with residents and students about the anniversary.
Chris Buchanani is a longtime State College resident. He remembers the events of a decade ago well, as the Sandusky scandal exploded.
It was pretty much every level of my self-identity being attacked.
He still does a popular Penn State football pregame show and says those dark days in 2011 were rough, but the community survived.
All of the things that we were, in most cases, very wrongly accused of being, in fact, very much the opposite. And all of those qualities, the resilience, the toughness, the authenticity of being that is this place and the people who have personified its spirit for so long, that's why we survived.
And now, a decade later, the community has worked hard to get past these tragic events, but the long-standing morals and values of Penn State and State College are still very much alive. The scandal tarnished legendary coach Joe Paterno's reputation. But as the years go by, Paterno's legacy is very much alive around the town, even for younger students.
Anytime we do talk about Paterno, it's very much, look how he built our school. Look how the football program is now, even though, he's passed on. But even now, it's a very positive and uplifting person.
And as for the folks who are here now, one of the other things about a college campus is that after about 4 or 5 years, whatever happened previously is all washed away like a sandcastle on a beach.
In State College, I'm Kelly Warner for the Center County Report.
As for Jerry Sandusky, he's serving a prison sentence of at least 30 years.
Well, the fight over masking in Pennsylvania schools drags on today. This week, a state court threw out an order that requires K-12 students to wear masks in school. But the governor's administration quickly appealed the court ruling, so the mask rule stays for now. Also this week, the governor announced he would return authority over masking decisions to local school districts in mid-January.
The Pennsylvania's governor race has a new candidate, Republican State Senator Jake Corman of Bellefonte. The ranking Republican in the Senate made the official announcement last night. He enters a crowded and wide-open field of GOP candidates in next year's election. It's been a busy week for Corman. He tested positive for COVID this week. He's fully vaccinated and is quarantining at home. On the Democratic side of the election, Attorney General Josh Shapiro is the presumed nominee.
Downtown State College is losing a popular bar and restaurant. Mad Mex is set to permanently close later this month. It's been on Pew Street for about 2 decades, but the lease has been suspended pending the sale of its home at the Days Inn property. Development of a new student housing building is coming next. The restaurant's parent company says it's a disappointing end of an era.
We love being there. It's a good store for us. It's good. We have good people. A lot of people work for us for a long time.
The last day for Mad Mix is set for November 28th. And in Bellefonte, a sweet place will also close its doors by the end of December. Specialty bakery The Cakery on Potter Street plans to close after 9 years. Owner Melissa Stitzer started the business at home and then opened the storefront in 2019. She announced the closing in a Facebook post and on the shop's website, citing many factors.
While some places are closing, 2 new restaurants will be opening in downtown State College. A new pizza place called Old Gold will take over the former Rita's on Beaver Avenue, and a Mediterranean restaurant chain known as Mezza will open in a new location at the Maxim Building, formerly known as The Here. Mezza will serve create-your-own dishes like bowls and flatbread wraps. It's next to El Jefe's Taqueria, which opened in May. Events around the area this week are marking Veterans Day. They bring back memories of heroes and sacrifice. Here's one interesting story we found. Very few veterans have the honor of receiving a Purple Heart, but imagine getting 2 of them and then losing them. Rachel Suga has that story.
Former State College resident Richard Crowley lived 91 years, impacting his family and loved ones. He's remembered for the incredible life he led as a Korean War vet, husband, father, and community member. Last month, Crowley died, and in his final years of life, it became clear to his loved ones the nobility of serving his country did not come without steep costs.
The hardest thing was when he first saw his buddy get killed. You can't do anything about it. I mean, you can call a medic, and that's all you can do.
Crowley was injured, not once, but twice while on the battlefield in the Korean War, earning him 2 Purple Hearts that would later be taken by a thief.
His first one was a grenade, and his buddy actually got killed right in front of him, and he took the shrapnel from that. I'm not sure what the second one was, but at that point, he just wanted to go home.
His children remember their father in a different way because he showed time and time again that although he struggled with the mental and physical tolls of being in the Korean War, he was a parent that was abundantly present in his children's lives.
We always went fishing, which he, I think he liked to, but I think, now we all love fishing. My son loves fishing.
Everyone who knew him says he showed up time and time again for them, his country, and anyone who needed him. Crowley's stolen Purple Hearts have never been recovered, and his family hopes if anyone has any information that can help, they'll call police. In State College, I'm Rachel Suga for the Center County Report.
When Crowley lived in State College, he worked at Penn State and retired in 1994 as vice president of purchasing. He has 11 grandchildren and 5 great-grandchildren.
Big weather changes are happening today and this weekend around Central PA. We have the wintry forecast coming up.
Plus, a new holiday edition is coming to Bellefonte. And coming up later, Pennsylvania whiskey was a big deal years ago, but Prohibition changed that. Now it's making a comeback. We take a closer look.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
Most party fouls are pretty dumb. But if you decide to drink and drive underage, you could lose your license and your freedom. Underage drinking and driving. The ultimate party foul.
You're doing great. We're gonna try this again, okay?
Okay.
Wheels, pedals, handlebar, brakes. Sit up straight, keep your weight in the center, keep your eyes on the road, hands on the grips, button the seat. If we feel ourselves falling, what do?
Just keep pedaling.
Good girl. Now remember, it's all about balance and steering. Steer with your hands, steer with your body. Steer into the corners and you stay out of trouble. And the bell's your buddy, so go ahead and ding that. All right, you ready? Here we go. Pedal, honey, pedal. There you go, you're a bike rider.
Most parenting is hard to do in just 2 minutes. But 2 minutes twice a day making sure they brush is easier, and it could help save them from a lifetime of tooth pain.
Free downtown parking is returning to State College beginning November 22nd. Downtown businesses will offer customers free 4-hour parking until January 2nd in the Beaver, Fraser, and Pew Street garages. Free 3-hour street and surface lot parking will also be available as part of the holiday parking program to encourage customers to shop downtown. Unlimited garage parking will be free from December 22nd through January 2nd.
And an ice rink is coming to Bellefonte's Talleyrand Park just in time for the holidays. Borough Council gave the green light to the rink. The 40 by 60 temporary skating rink is designed to last 5 to 6 years. The ice will be located right in front of the gazebo, and they're hopeful it'll open to skaters in early December.
It's still a little bit too warm to do any ice skating here in Central PA, but we did have some precipitation in the form of rain this morning. Widespread showers passed through Pennsylvania during the overnight hours, and we are left with blue skies, not only on our Mount Nittany camera, but also a beautiful shot of the Penn State Arboretum on this Friday afternoon. Even have the sun visible there in the upper left corner of the frame. Now we've warmed up to 54 degrees this afternoon, a little bit warmer than is typical for this time of year, but that is we're not going to approach our high temperature as we head through the afternoon hours. Here's why. Turning the clocks back to 1 a.m. this morning, 58 degrees was the reading on the mercury here in State College, so 4 degrees warmer than we are now. And you can see that cooler air beginning to work its way into Pennsylvania through the first few hours of the day as that cold front passed into the Commonwealth. And so that knocked temperatures back into the upper 40s. And now that most of us have rebounded into the 50s with that sunshine, I don't think we'll be able to warm quite all the way back to what we saw in the first few hours of the day today. Now, radar and satellite, a very busy picture to start the day with all of those showers and even some thunderstorms as well passing through Pennsylvania, but those are now pushing out of our neck of the woods. But then the area of low pressure that's driving it still causing some headaches in parts of Iowa, Wisconsin, and Illinois, and that's going to be working its way into our neck of the woods over the next couple of hours. Here's how things time out on future weather. That area of clouds is going to work its way eastward, and central Pennsylvania will start the evening off here with mostly clear skies. Clouds will be on the increase through the through the rest of the evening hours, and the first few hours of Saturday may feature a little bit of rain and perhaps some snow flurries as well. Now those will clear out, I think, by the time kickoff here in over at Beaver Stadium with Penn State taking on Michigan, but we'll keep some clouds in the area for most of the rest of the day on Saturday, and we'll call it partly to mostly cloudy here in State College and most of Central PA through the rest of the weekend. Now, we could see another quick hitting round of rain and snow showers Sunday into Monday, but I don't expect very much in terms of accumulation from that. Today, 53, maybe 54 degrees, since we're already seeing that for your afternoon high temperature. We'll keep it mostly sunny through the rest of the afternoon. Then through the evening hours, we'll fall back down to around 39 degrees. And then as Penn State takes on Michigan tomorrow, we'll warm only into the 40s, low 40s, we'll call it, under partly to mostly cloudy skies. The rest of your 7-day forecast, a little bit below average for this time of year for those high temperatures. But then as we head into next week, high pressure set to take control. We'll be right back into the 50s.
Well, I heard snow flurries and I got excited. You know, I really love it when snow comes around. It's one of my favorite times of year, but that could be, a little challenging for tailgates this weekend, right, Chris?
Yeah, well, speaking of the big game this weekend, let's throw it over to Connor with sports.
Thank you, Chris. Coming up next in sports, Michigan Week continues as Penn State welcomes the Wolverines to Beaver Stadium. We'll preview the matchup. Also ahead, Penn State soccer is one win away from the Big Ten championship. We have highlights of their semifinal showdown up next.
Todd's a great guy. I mean, look at him. What a sweetheart. Attaboy. Wait, Todd, What are you doing? How totally selfish and un-Todd-like of you. Come on, Todd. Come on, man.
Hi, I'm Peter. And there's nothing I love more than sharing vegetables with my friends. Come on in! Help yourself to anything. That's why we give our food the utmost respect it deserves. Did you know there are simple steps we can all take to help save food? You can cook it, store it, even share it. Just don't waste it. Because when it comes to food, better ate than never. To learn more, visit SaveTheFood.com.
This year, patriotism shouldn't just be about pride of country. It should be about love. Remember that to love America is to love all Americans. Because love has no labels.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
So you see, son, good manners are important. Should I go through it again?
Yes.
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
Exactly. Always say please, thank you, you're welcome, excuse me, sit up straight, hold doors open for ladies. If the door's locked, knock first, don't burp, don't swear, don't stare, don't use bad language, or talk with your mouth full, keep your elbows off the table.
What table?
Don't interrupt. Cover your mouth when you cough or sneeze. On the bus, give your seat up to anybody who has trouble standing. Bottom line, treat others the way you want to be treated. Got it?
Got it.
Good talk.
Most parenting is hard to do in just 2 minutes. But 2 minutes twice a day making sure they brush is easier, and it could help save them from a lifetime of tooth pain.
I'm Connor Griffin with sports. Penn State football will try to knock off a top 10 team tomorrow as Michigan comes to Beaver Stadium. But the Lions' success through the air and with Jahan Dotson has put a spotlight on their shortcomings in the run game. Penn State has relied heavily on throwing the football this season, mainly because the run game is ranked 117th out of 130 FBS teams. While it's been a one-sided attack offensively, head coach James Franklin says he's not concerned about a traditional balance in the play calling.
What I want to be able to do is throw it 75% of the time to win it, or be able to run it 75% of the time to win it, depending on what the game needs and what the game calls for.
Getting the running backs more involved has been a main emphasis for the coaching staff, and Franklin believes it could provide a real spark for the offense.
You know, if you really look at our numbers, if we would have a few explosive runs a game, it would change things dramatically. So I think that's the next step for us.
But those runs might be hard to come by against Michigan. The Wolverines rolling to Happy Valley is the number 6 team in the country, while the Nittany Lions were left unranked in the CFP for the second straight week. Many fans and experts wondered about the committee's decision to omit Penn State from the rankings. A win this weekend would almost certainly get the Nittany Lions back in the top 25, but the only numbers this team is worried about are 1-0. Penn State-Michigan kicks off at noon tomorrow. Tomorrow also marks the first ever helmet stripe game at Penn State, essentially a second whiteout, and you can listen to the call live on Penn State's Com Radio. In high school football, the District 6 playoffs are well underway. First-ranked State High will face number 2 Williamsport tonight. Elsewhere, number 4 Bald Eagle beat River Valley in a close game last Friday and will take on Forest Hills at home tonight. Both games kick off at 7 p.m. There are other key games tonight as the playoffs progress. You can catch highlights on this week's edition of After the Whistle. Penn State's men's soccer is championship bound. The Nittany Lions are hosting the Big Ten title game after beating Michigan 2-0 on Wednesday. Seth Kuhn scored in the 12th minute to give Penn State the lead. Then 10 minutes later, Andrew Privet found the back of the net from a difficult angle, putting Penn State up by 2. Sunday's championship game is a rematch from last season against Indiana, and it's scheduled for 2 p.m. at Jeffrey Field. Penn State men's basketball is getting set to take on UMass on Monday, looking to move to 2-0. The Nittany Lions started the Micah Shrewsbury era with a win over Youngstown State on Wednesday. Seth Lundy got the Nittany Lions rolling with their first points of the year en route to a game-high 23 points. Youngstown State made it close late, but the Lions pulled away as John Harrah's layup in less than 2 minutes to play put the game on ice and got Coach Shrewsbury his first win.
We had older guys, and I knew how they were going to respond, how they were going to compete. So it wasn't nervousness for me, it was nervousness for how they were going to change defenses and do things to really challenge us.
Monday's matchup at UMass tips off at 7 o'clock. Penn State men's hockey is back on the ice tonight to take on Michigan after dropping last night's game. Michigan got the scoring started late in the first period when a turnover in the Nittany Lion zone was fired home by Luke Morgan. Into the second period now, and Michigan is back for more. 2 top 5 NHL draft picks combined as Owen Power feeds Matty Beniers to double the visitors' lead. Wolverines would go on to cruise, winning by a final score of 5-1. The two teams go at it again tonight at 7, and you can listen on Penn State Com Radio. And we'll wrap it up with Penn State fencing, which goes on the road after hosting the Garrett Open. It's a tournament hosted by some of the best fencing schools in the country. Senior fencers Shane Iverson and Kamar Skeet placed second in the tournament. Penn State had 3 fencers place as finalists, and the Nittany Lions are back in action December 5th when they travel to Sacred Heart in Connecticut. That's all for sports. Now back to you at the anchor desk.
Thanks, Connor. Coming up next, Pennsylvania had a top national reputation for a certain drink once. It's been a long time since then, but now it's making a comeback. We have the story next.
Taught him how to hit a baseball, how to hit a receiver, the strike zone, the net. You taught him how to hit the upper corner. You even taught him how to hit the open man. But how much time have you spent teaching him what not to hit?
Start a story. Adopt at theshelterpetproject.org.
There's one thing you can never have sex without.
It's not something you buy.
Or something you take.
In fact, there's only one way to get it.
It has to be given to you freely.
It's consent.
Because sex without it isn't sex.
It's rape. Consent.
If you don't get it, you don't get it. It's on us to stop sexual assault.
Learn how and take the pledge at itsonus.org.
Years ago, Pennsylvania was one of the whiskey powerhouses in the nation before Prohibition changed everything. But now whiskey is looking to make a comeback, and Pennsylvania is right in the middle of it. Reporter Austin Boley explains.
Pennsylvania is famous for many things, but it might surprise you that one of them is whiskey. In the 1800s, Pennsylvania rye whiskey was known around the nation, but as it fizzled out after Prohibition, so did the rye crop itself. But now, Laura Fields and her nonprofit are hoping to help rye make a comeback with the help of farmers and distillers.
A lot of farmers basically lost the impetus to grow rye grain, which was used specifically for distilling. So the Seed Spark Project was established to try and bring back some of these heritage grains.
Fields started an event 2 years ago to bring together farmers, distillers, experts, and consumers. Last weekend, she coordinated an event at George Washington's original gristmill distillery house in Virginia to make batches of Rose and Rye whiskey using original equipment.
Here at Mount Vernon, one of the wonderful things that they have is this very traditional way of making whiskey, which connects to the early 19th century.
The distilling process begins with boiling water stoked by a wood fire, then adding the combination of corn, barley, and rosin rye, which is stirred to make a mash. One of the main producers of the corn and rye in Pennsylvania is Dancing Star farm owner Bob McDonald of Bedford County.
I grew the corn that they're distilling today, so this whole project is basically my grain. That's a pretty cool story, the way I look at it.
There are now 4 farms in Pennsylvania producing rye grain in Lancaster, Gettysburg, Erie, and Imler. Penn State Agriculture started growing 5 ounces of rosin rye, and now it's up to over 6,000 pounds to be distributed to local distillers. Just over a decade ago, no whiskey was produced in Pennsylvania, but now there are more than 20 distilleries, and a new generation of whiskey lovers hopes that number keeps growing across the region. In Alexandria, Virginia, I'm Austin Bowley for the Center County Report.
The Seed Spark Project has a partnership with Penn State's Agricultural Extension, which supports the research and development of heritage grains.
That's all for today's newscast. We hope you'll join us Tuesday for our next local news update.
You can follow us anytime for breaking news on our Center County Report Twitter, and you can see our stories on our Facebook page and website. Have a good afternoon.